Happy Monday. And welcome all to another episode of Authentic AF. I'm Dr. With me is,
Rene Deceuninck, the one and only.
and so Renee, where are you coming in from today?
I'm back. I'm still in the Netherlands, in between London and Dubai. It's an amazing place to be. The Netherlands is a beautiful country, different from the UK and different from the UAE, that's for sure. But hey, yeah, it's a great place to be. And I live the suitcase lifestyle, so yeah, for me it's just like an in between.
Absolutely. Well, I know what it feels like to sort of be, traveling, and as I say, in this way, you're country hopping.
Yeah.
Country and town hopping. So that's an exciting journey, especially, this time of the year, out there making things happen. So every week, of course, we come in with another episode of Authentic AF, and this is where we combine both mindset and body language as our conversation, to help others think about those two elements and how they impact what's happening in not only their intended communications and even their unintended communications, because body language tends to reveal it all. So this week we talked about the understanding of cultural differences, and I felt like this would be a great conversation, especially you're able to weigh in as you've been jumping through these different groups and cultures. So, I referenced this book, The Cultural Map by Erin Meyer, but she kind of talks through 8 different things. But really, in summary, the big idea is that just because we communicate in one particular way doesn't mean that that same manner of communication is received and accepted across cultures.
True, so true, so true. This I earlier this week I understand that if I say something and then you would say like, why would you say this? So I would say something to you and you would like reply, why would you say this? Is because what I said is what I said, but what you received is a different story. And that's what people don't understand sometimes is that it's not what you express, it's how does it land with the other person. And that's where body language plays a major role, not only in the verbal is very important. Is if I say something to you and you would say to me, hey, Renee, why are you saying this? Is that because you receive it the way you receive it? It has nothing to do with what I send out. And then I would say, okay, what is it that you receive from me? Can you explain that to me? Instead of going like, well, that's what it is. I'm sorry if you don't understand me. That's your problem, not mine. No, what I send out to you and you don't understand it, please clarify what is your question.
I
But
think,
when,
yeah, you're absolutely right. I was in a conversation earlier today, and I know that I have to sort of, kind of go back and inquire further about the conversation because the statement didn't land very well for me. And it left me with a bit of a curiosity, and it was a bit frustrating, because it was about, a transaction or relationship, and just trying to understand why people in their minds associate, if for example, we're both entrepreneurs, we're in business, and so if someone expects that you should work for free, versus, it's your job, it's your business. It's like, and so it was an odd question. I was making a statement about training with my son Sterling and paying him for his services. It's his business. If I don't pay him, then he doesn't earn, that's his job.
yeah,
He can't afford to, he still has to pay his overhead. There's a cost, so no, he can't train me, without me providing him with some type of return, for that time spent. If I'm not paying him directly, I'm paying for something for him that he needs because it's his business.
Yeah.
And I find it very odd that somehow or another, people sometimes think, oh, well, my job pays me, but I shouldn't pay you. So
Yeah.
I'm wondering sometimes, is that, does that come from a cultural? Is that how we've been socialized, from being employees, that the idea is, oh, you should have another job somewhere. Well, if you have another job somewhere, then you're not fully able to build your business. Your business becomes hopefully your source of employment and your
Yeah.
opportunities. So, again, when we talk about communications, right? When something lands in such a way that it brings up a question, then I think it's really important to, instead of going, wait, let me come back and clear this up. Or, I had to have that conversation where I
Yeah.
had to clear up some, communication with a family member about, I realized my tone was not truly conveying what I felt.
Yeah.
It was coming across in a way that was probably not as well received, coming across with a little bit more of hostility because I had to be honest, I was more leaning into my fear about a person's overall well-being.
Hmm.
And I realized though, if you communicate from your fear, it comes across as harsh. It's that fear.
Yeah. True.
Take a step back and explain the context of what you're thinking about and why you're thinking about that, but also listening to make sure that the person is able to receive or figure out what does it take to communicate
Yeah.
the message in a way that they can receive the message. And then also, where does body language come into that?
Um, in the first place, I have to say you have to be clear with your message in a sense that I send out the message on all social media platforms. I was with Gary V backstage in 2018, Gary Vaynerchuk,
Mhm.
and he says if you're not on 10 platforms in this industry, 10 different platforms. I mean, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, 10 of them. You don't have a reason of existence. I said, wow, that's amazing. I'm on 27 platforms. He says, oh, you're good. Okay, Sana, thank you. Don't don't even mention it. But the thing is I on these platforms I put out a message I'm hiring. And what I saw is that so many people are like interested in what I do and they want to represent me, but they need a car, they need a laptop, they need a phone, they need this, they need that. There's like all kinds of needs. And I say, whoa, 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 whoa. Hey, wait a minute. This is not going to work. First of all, you're not going to get anything from me. That's the first thing to understand. So no car, no laptop, no phone. No, this is a job. I'll pay you freaking well, but there's no like, this is based on commission. Oh, and the whole thing about this is that nothing wrong with these people, but it's just so many people are going for the safety and security and of the social system. And I understand that. But if you want to make big bucks, you have to step away from that because the social system will just support you to until a certain level, and then that's it. And if you're okay with that, I'm okay with that too. But if you want to make big bucks, you'll have to step away from that.
Well, see, you bring up I don't know if we touched on this last week. There was a supposedly a comment by a young lady working at Starbucks that went viral. And she was complaining about the fact that she makes minimum wage or, better than minimum wage at Starbucks, but she had, rung up, she made $168 or thereabouts in her day of wages, but she had run up about $3,500 in sales on behalf of Starbucks. And so she was, frustrated by the fact that, those sales and the person that responded basically was giving her a lesson in the shamefulness of why people don't understand economics. You're safe $168 You make that whether Starbucks made the 3,500 or not, because
Yeah.
that's the agreement. So you're not taking on any risk. You're not investing in the infrastructure. You didn't lease the space. You're not spending the money to build the brand. You're not paying for the benefits. You're not paying for all of these other things. And so within all of those things, yes, you will be paid the incremental piece for your part of the labor because your labor by itself does not produce all of the other things that creates this business and allow it to attract
Yeah.
3,500. You didn't bring in the $3,500. That business came in because of the efforts of the organization. You just were able to do your job and complete the transactions. But the transactions, somebody else invested in having those transactions be a possibility. And so it's that understanding is yes, you're right. If you're giving somebody, if you're hiring and you're asking somebody to invest and to, lean into an opportunity and to be more entrepreneurial about that opportunity, then yeah, the compensation reflects the shared risk that that person is
Yeah.
taking. But most people are not willing to take that risk. They want to be the comfortable entrepreneur. And that's kind of what really landed for me, really right between the eyes this morning as I was a little bit stunned because I was like, oh my goodness, I didn't realize right here in my midst that some of the people that I've been engaging with who, I've discussed becoming part of our organization, they're
Mm.
they're waiting and wanting me. I've taken on all the risk. And at the same time, they want to comfortably move from a salary position to a salaried position. But then also I've had the nerve to ask me about equity.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
Uh,
Got
no,
it.
my God, no. I'm the one that has put it all, I've risked it all. So
Yeah.
the equity definitely is going to be allocated in accordance to the risk that has been assumed. But if
Yeah.
you have this, if by
Oh
the
no.
time you join the organization, you're stepping into a salary position, I haven't had a salary.
Yeah.
I've had to risk everything that I had. I've had to risk, I remember a mentor telling me in my early 20s, I was looking to expand my business. And he said, well, just remember, when you expand to go to the next business, the first business is at risk as well. The first location, I was expanding, opening up a second office. And he says, because you have to pull some of your energy away from that first location to begin sowing into the second location. And things can happen. And he
Yeah.
was speaking from experience because he and his wife had a business where they'd had a first location that performed phenomenally. And they began to expand, which makes sense. You expand, to another location. But just as they were about to open their brand new second location, the big earthquake hit up in San Francisco. And remember, the bridge was shut down and so they lost both
Yeah.
businesses, right?
Wow.
Right. And so they were never able to, resume, relaunch. They just went into to work, to get jobs, right? To stabilize their families from that, but they never went back into business, and nothing wrong with that, but that's the
Exactly.
reality.
Okay. Yeah. 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 It's okay. It's an okay situation. I mean, but what people underestimate is that, like, for me, I have an employee now starting on January 6th, which is a Monday, on the payroll in sales. And if you, as an entrepreneur, doesn't never does take the risk of employing somebody or create a team, or, and I'm talking about my body language company right now. I have somebody now is starting up January 6th, but for example, for the BNR for my resort, it's going to be 300 people per resort. I mean, 8 resorts. It's going to be a lot of people, but it's about, to get back to the subject. It's about I have a lot of people from different areas, from different religions, from different cultures. And the one starting in on January 6th is from Lahore, from Pakistan.
Mm,
And people say, Pakistan, wow, that is crazy. I said, why would you call it crazy? I mean, we had a meeting. We had a 40 hours of coaching together. And then I decided like, hey, you know what, let's give it a go. And she's gonna be on the payroll in January. But for me, it doesn't matter if you're from Lahore, Pakistan, or if you're from San Diego, California, or you're from Bangkok, Thailand. I don't give a, you know, sorry
mm,
for my French, SHIT, I don't care where you come from. If you're hungry and you want to create business and we can both benefit from it, because that's my whole policy with the employees working for me, we have a policy that it says, hey, if you win, if I win, you win. And what I mean about that, there's a commission, a win-win situation, and everybody's happy. And I don't care which culture you're from. And that is sometimes a big thing in business that, oh my God, you're from that country? Nah, thank you. Where probably that person might be a big, big, big asset to your company. But, you know, so many people don't think on a world level. And I mean, I've been traveling the planet like a couple of times. I've been in 40, I've counted the countries. I've been in 46 countries now since I started. And there's in total 196 countries, recognized countries on the planet. So I still have some stuff to do. But the thing is, from those 46 countries, you have all these different religions and cultures, but in essence, people are hungry. And if you facilitate them and you show them a way and you're like, listen, let's collaborate. If you make money, I'll make money. If I make money, you'll make money. And they're like, oh, wow, interesting. And that's what is happening now in the Western world is that there's so many regulations and so many social systems. And then like, honestly, I'm stepping away from it. I'm going to the Arab world now, and you know it, right? I'm moving to the Emirates, to Dubai and Ras Al Khaimah and Abu Dhabi. I'll be in the region over there. The reason I'm moving there is very simple, is that people are hungry. They want to work. They want to perform. And I don't care what religion you are or what culture you are. I will respect you as long as you respect me, and we'll do some business together and make money together. And in terms of body language, to really get back to the subject, is that I know that, for example, if you do this in a European country, it's okay, it's perfect, it's you accentuate stuff. If you do this in France, for example, and it's the same thing, you want to accentuate something, you are saying to somebody, you're a zero, you're a nil, you're a good for nothing, and the only thing you have to do is this. So the change in body language in countries is amazing. It's and yeah, what else can I say? If you do this in Bangladesh, it's very offensive. Bangladesh, north from in the Asian countries there over there. If you do this, it's very offensive. If you do this in Europe or in America, it's like, hey, good thing, all right? If a diver on the water says, hey, we do this, you know, they go up. So in terms of cultures and countries and body language is a universal thing. We all have two arms, two legs, one brain, one body. So body language is universal. People say this is new. Forget it. Body language was the first language on the planet. There was not there was no German, there was no English, there was nothing. There was just body language, animals communicating with sounds and movements, right? And in fact, body language is not even a language. It's based on how you feel, And what you feel is producing a certain expression, and it's that expression that you put out there and pushes people away from you or attract them towards you. So it's very important to understand that when people have an issue with cultures and where you come from and color and race and religion and stuff, come on, man, forget it. We're all the same, and in body language, it's just like you have to pay attention to when let me put it like this. When I travel, I go to different countries, right? I've been visiting so many countries, and each time I go to a new country, what I say is like, "Hey, I got a question," and say, "Yeah, what's the question?" I say, "What are the do's and the don'ts in this country?" And they're like, "Oh, wow, interesting." For example, in if you're grateful and you thank somebody in Thailand, you go like this, right? And this is normal custom. But if you don't know it and somebody is giving you something and out of respect for you, and you just say, "Hey, thank you so much," people won't appreciate you. Instead of that, you do like, it's like I got a gift in Iran 2 weeks ago, and it's only 2 weeks ago. I was in Iran and Tehran. Everybody, you going to Tehran? Are you insane? There's war going on in Gaza and Israel. I said, I listen. This country is okay, and I went there, and I know the customs because I've been there before. Is that, and all of a sudden people come to me and said, "Hey, we have a little gift for you, a little gift, a handmade bag with a handmade thing in it." I said, "What the heck?" I mean, if you buy that over here in Europe or in the US, you're gonna pay a lot of money to get something like that. They give it to me as a gift out of appreciation, being grateful. What you have to understand is that in terms of body language and mindset, is that when you go to different countries, people are sometimes so grateful for you being there, and they are so passionate about what you do. And that's what I experienced in the Middle East. People are so, I don't have words. You have to experience it. They're so like grateful you come in their country, teach them about stuff they never heard about before, and then they give you all kinds of gifts, and they're like, and it's not about the money, it's not about the gift, it's about, wow, we are developing new markets. We are sharing our stuff with those people. They probably heard about it, but they never took any action to learn about it. And cultures and religions and people from different countries. And I don't know how to express myself in this area, but it's we're all the same. And in terms of body language, the only thing you have to recognize is that different cultures, different countries, different religions have sometimes, not all the ways, but sometimes a different body language. And it's up to you to say, "Hey, if I go to that country, I'm going to ask for the do's and the don'ts." And if they say, "What are you talking about?" And say, "I heard about that dude somewhere in London about body language. He's mentioning you should check it out, right? Is there anything I should do and should not do at all in terms of like body language?" And so many people follow my advice already, and when they go on vacation or holidays or on business trips, and say, "Wow, Rene, dude, this is good stuff." I said, "No, it isn't. It's just ask the question." And yeah, I'm gonna stop talking because I want to hear your like insights on this.
Well, what you speak to is really true. It's always been my approach whenever I've prepared to travel anywhere. So
Yeah.
I did have the opportunity to visit the Middle East, and then also even I have a visa where I was invited into Saudi. And so before I planned to visit both regions within the Middle East, there's a couple different travel books, but I did research on understanding not
Mhm.
only the cultural norms, the dress, and kind of typical socialized expectations of one, how to communicate with one another. There are very distinct behaviors that are expected between men and women in these regions of the world. And so in certain places, again, when we were in Saudi, we had to be covered in certain ways, in different business settings. You definitely, when you talk about the gender distinctions, when you go to places of business, there's a separation for singles versus
True.
families
True.
versus men versus women. We had that conversation and the discussion around even your business and, building wellness spas, for example, in your locations and understanding that there's certain expectations when you're developing within a Muslim a country or environment, and you want to be aware of those things.
True.
Again, I came from first an advertising background before I moved into real estate development. And part of my agency, one of the accounts that we had, really that what made my agency unique is we focused on multicultural communications. And what I put forth when I started educating the market, and since then all of these things have become popular. But again, I've always been a maverick. So I was on the forefront of multiculturalism when it was not a popular, thing. Typically what brands would do is they just throw in a ethnic looking model, even though the messaging would be off for a true cultural connection. So I was one of those early, strategists that said that's not appropriate because I've seen the misappropriation of, messaging addressing not only the African American, but the Asian and the Latino consumer markets, and, seeing the evolution of that people tend to treat these so-called groups as one homogenous group, when in essence, it's not. You would speak to someone that plays tennis the same you would speak to other tennis players, right? Because there's a certain shared understanding. So I think different to your statement of we're all the same, we're not all the same. We're individually, but we're socialized to have certain beliefs. So if you go to a particular region of the world, there may be a socialization in terms of expected behavior. And so you want to understand what's the dominant source of that socialization. Is it because of a religious belief or is it because of a business context? America in particular is built around commercialization and capitalism. And so
Mm,
the shared common socialization is emphasizing the importance of a transaction, buying and selling something, be they
yeah.
services or goods, right? And so when you understand that, that is a cultural socialization that is very different than when you go to other regions of the world that have not been socialized in that same way. In America, babies are being socialized to be consumers, just
Uh,
because they're in front of
uh,
an idiot box or in front of a digital device that constantly is introducing commercials and products into
true.
their psyche, even before they have the ability to articulate what it is they're receiving. They're being programmed to know that they should want these different things that are being presented to them. Right. But if you take that same approach into another country, another region that is
Yeah.
not socializing their community in the same way, then that's offensive.
Yeah. 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 But for me, when that happen, I mean, you know me, right? I'm a completely different type of person. The first thing I would advise to all American people is like throw your television away, throw it in the garbage can.
Good luck with that. Good luck with that, Renee. You need to find another mountain to die on. That's not gonna happen.
You know, when you watch television, is that there's so much rubbish on there. It is
Man,
crazy how people are manipulated by television. I remember people saying, "Hey, Renee, did you watch the news? News about what?" I said, "About Iran." I said, "Okay, what's the news all about Iran?" Well, it's so dangerous and people get killed and they get into prison and blah 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 blah. Blah. I said, "Oh wow, where is that based on?" Well, you go to the website of the Belgian government. I said, "Okay, let's go to the Belgian government website." And to avoid at all times is the country what? Iran. I said, wow, that's amazing. Why? And you know what? I forgot about the whole thing and I went anyway. And you know what happened is that first of all, I had the most incredible, beautiful time of my life. But what I want to say is that institutions, governments will direct multimedia to feed you whatever you want to be fed with. And maybe this video might be blocked in some ways by
It's just right in my head. I was
I
like,
don't
oh
give
my goodness, we went down a rabbit hole that
I
might
don't give a
never
shit
go.
anyway. But anyways, but the thing is that media will feed you with so much content and is directed by governments, and they will feed you with so much content that you believe what they say, and then you act upon. And for me, it's like I'm a trout. I'm always swimming against the stream, against the current. It's like, wait a minute, this doesn't make sense to me. So I go against the whole thing, and I had lots of issues in the past with it. But anyway, and still today, but anyway, it doesn't matter. The thing is, on this planet, we have multiple cultures, multiple religions, multiple. And when you go to England, there's only one God, one, right? The God. If you go to India, they got like hundreds of gods. And I'm like, wait a minute, this doesn't make sense to me. So, and then I go to Iran and I go to the mosque. I was invited to the mosque and said, I'm not going into the mosque. He said, you coming to us. I said, do you watch my skin, the color of my hair, the color of my skin? And Rene, don't worry. This is not what they tell you in Europe or in America or whatever. I say, you know what? I'm gonna give it a shot. So I went with the guy inside. Nobody was speaking about the Quran. Nobody was speaking about Islam. Nobody was speaking about anything. On the contrary, they invited me for tea, for food, for all kinds of. I said, wait a minute. What they put out there in the Western society or media is so full of rubbish. And when I to come back to the subject, what we want to talk about tonight is body language. Is that I didn't even read one person's body language in the Middle East because they are so trustworthy. I don't have to read their body language. When I'm back in Europe, that's the freaking thing I do is read people's body language because I don't trust one person.
Oh my
And it's not that I don't
goodness.
trust them, but it's do you know do you know the difference? Right? When
Oh
I'm in the Middle
yes.
East, I don't have to do it because I trust people and they're very trustworthy. When I go
Correct.
to the West, you know, I got that gut feeling like, oh, shush, something is wrong here. So I start reading body language. So yeah.
It's so funny. Well, believe it or not, as usual, we've run up out of time. We
Oh,
this
really?
conversation
Already?
goes so quickly,
Okay.
and there are a bunch of points that I could probably elaborate on, but I won't since we're out of time about this. But in particular, that whole idea of being in communities where you have a certain level of safety versus other communities, again, is a socialization. And I was thinking about that in the simplest form this morning, pumping gas, when I noticed that, the big sign, you have to make sure that you pay first before you pump gas. And I said, you know what? I remember a time when you didn't have to pay first. You could pump
Yeah.
your gas because there was a certain expectation that you were honorable enough to pay. But because that, it's so again, what happened to change those social dynamics where people could no longer be trusted to pump their gas first and pay. But it's similar to what it is that you're talking about. We don't know what those variables are. We could definitely go down that rabbit hole at a later time.
Yeah.
What I'd like to do is tell people, thank you so much for joining us for this episode, another episode of Authentic AF. This is where Renee and I talk about body language and mindset. And today's conversation really was around cultural differences and understanding the distinction between traveling. And it's really what I recommend is I think that the best education you can gain is an education through experiences. And so if
Yeah.
someone wanted to learn a little bit more about you and the body language, where should they go?
They can always visit me on my website, which is renedeceuninck.com. I mean, you can read it down there, like RENEDECEUNINCK.com. It's my name and my surname.com. Um, and I only can add one single thing is that in this world is it's not about culture, it's not about religion, it's about becoming one. And I met so many beautiful people all over the planet, from Buddhism to Hinduism to Muslims to Christians to, and all of them were beautiful individuals. But make sure to respect each other, make sure to love each other, make sure to, in terms of body language, there's always going to be body language is based on how you feel. And body language, when I read, I mentioned it before, when I feel like something is going wrong, I get that gut feeling. And everybody has gut feeling, but not everybody knows how read how body language. But when you have that gut feeling, that's when I start reading body. But I've been in so many countries all over the planet, from east to west, to south to north. The thing is, people are people, and the only thing people are looking for is to be loved, is to be happy, is to be, have that security, as Robbins would say, certainty, uncertainty, love and connection and contribution and all that stuff, the six basic human needs. And that's what people are looking for. But why would you, like, yeah, discriminate people because of their religion or their color or their skin or their, you know, in the end, that's what I call a low level of consciousness. The higher you go in levels of consciousness, the less you meet people like that. So I don't know why I'm saying all of this, but the main thing is, like, in terms of body language, whatever you go on the planet, body language is the same everywhere. There's only a few things you have to pay attention to is cultural differences. And there might be some cultural differences where some certain signs are having a different meaning. But in general, I would say, like, hey, and if you want to find out more, go to renedeceuninck.com. And if you didn't get the name, I mean, contact us, contact Stephanie, contact me, I mean, we are here to help you out, to show you a way, to make you grow. And yeah, what else can I ask? What else can I add, Stephanie?
I think
Tell
you
me.
said it all. I think you said it all. So with that, guys, thank you again for joining us for this episode of Authentic AF. We hope you'll join us again. We are live each Monday, 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time right now. I think Renee is 9 hours ahead of me. About 9 hours ahead of me, coming in from the
9 o'clock, yeah.
Netherlands. So it's nighttime for him. It's still morning time or late morning for
Eh,
us
it's not
here.
too bad.
So we'll see you next week. Be well.
Thank you so much, Stephanie. Thank you.